To chapter 2 of Birth of Explicit Movement. I wanted to encourage all of you to pick up your copy on explicitmovement.org at the store, and you can follow along as well as get more of the juicy details in the stories that I'll be sharing every week. So the next chapter, which last week we covered chapter 1, this week is chapter 2, and the title of it is Are You Willing? And the subject matter is really about surrender. So back in the day, this is in 2008. This is before Explicit was even an idea, because Explicit Movement was really birthed in 2014. Okay, so this is back in 2008. I attended a Bethel Church conference called Pastoring Kids Through Revival, and it was just a great conference, just because I was in children's ministry at the time. But I had this crazy God encounter that I really want you to read about in chapter 2 that was really truly supernatural. But one of the things that God had spoken to me during worship, during the worship session, one evening, I think it was the last evening of the whole conference. It was before the last speaker was about to speak. The Lord had spoken to my heart really strongly, and these are the words he said: Michele, are you willing to die for this movement? It will cost you everything. And I didn't really even know at the time what he meant about movement. All I knew was that he was asking me something, that I was willing to die for what his movement was, whatever he was going to reveal it, to me, but to really be willing to lay down my life for it, and he said, it will cost you everything. Again, are you willing to die for this movement? It will cost you everything. And I just had a moment of surrender. And it's after that, within minutes after he told me that, supernaturally, it just happened where the main speaker went up to the stage, and she verbatim said the exact same words that the Lord had told me minutes before. It was just an unfolding of really what God had planned for me in the future. And I was saying yes to something that I didn't know what I was saying yes to, but I was basically saying yes to God. And it was a very emotional moment for me. And I would love if you would take a look and read it and just get all the details of that story. But today I wanted to really, again, focus on just surrender in general. Surrendering, this is a true key to finding your purpose, is practicing this act of surrendering things to the Lord. And surrendering things, if you're like me, for most people, it's a painful process. It is extremely painful, especially when the Lord is asking us to surrender things right in the middle of maybe our passion or our dream or our longings. He wants us to surrender those things to him. And I wanted to just share this one testimony with you today as a thought for today that will illustrate what I mean. So this is back in 1991. So this is over 25 years ago. I was struggling with infertility because I had premature menopause, just be honest with you, in my 20s. And so I was devastated when I got that diagnosis from the doctor. But my dream was to be a mom and to give, have that experience of birthing my own child, but the Lord had other plans. And, my husband and I, we began to be open to the idea of adoption. And so there was a situation where we were chosen to be the parents of this child that was to be born from a teenage pregnant young woman. And here in Hawaii, we were living in California at the time. And I was so excited. I started to decorate the bedroom. I started to buy newborn clothes. I was dreaming up a storm. And this had been literally an obsession of mine. This is probably about 7 years of working through infertility situations with my husband, going to the doctors, finding out what could happen, any possible way. But, so this is a long journey of several years of walking through this. And so I was so excited about this baby that was about to to be ours, you know? And I remember the night that it all fell apart, where we got a call and the whole situation just kind of fell through. And I was devastated. I felt like I had this baby in my mind, and I was going to be a mom, and all of a sudden it felt like the death of a child, a death of my child, that it wasn't going to happen. And I remember crying myself to sleep, probably wailing myself to sleep that night, just so brokenhearted over this hope that was dashed to the rocks, you know. And I remember just saying, why, Lord, why did you let this happen, you know? And it was so devastating to me. Now, being that it was an obsession, right, to be a mom for 7, 8 years by then. So I remember waking up the next morning. It was still dark. It was about 5 a.m. and my husband was still sleeping. And this song, this old song, worship song, started to play in my ear. It was almost as if an angel was singing it into my ear. And, you know, forever you will be the Lamb upon the throne. I'll gladly bow my knee to you alone. You know, it was just a worship song to the Lord. And I was thinking, why am I thinking about this worship song? You know, I was so still very devastated. And the Lord had spoken to my heart, and he said, worship me. And in that moment, my knee-jerk reaction was, I don't feel like worshiping you, Lord. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. But the song kept playing in my ear. And so I thought, okay, Lord, I know this is you. So I got up out of the bed. My husband was still sleeping. It was still dark. I made my way to the living room. I knelt on my knees in the living room, in the dark living room. And I started to lift up my hands, and I just started to sing that song. And the Lord spoke to my heart while I was worshiping, and he said, Michele, you know what you need to do. And you need to surrender your desire to be a mom to me. And I knew that that's what I needed to do, because it had become an idol. It really had. It's such a huge desire for so many years. I get teary-eyed just thinking about it. And to ask me to surrender that, you know, it was really hard. But I just needed to obey, you know, the Lord. And I knew that's what we need to do, is surrender our lives, surrender our all to the Lord, right? So I lifted up my hands, and with tears literally streaming down my face, I remember saying, Lord, even if I'm never a mom, I will still choose to love you and serve you. And I just started to cry. And the Holy Spirit just came up upon me. I just felt this supernatural peace that just filled my heart. And I was just overcome by this sense of, Michele, you're going to be okay. Whether I'm a mom in this lifetime or never a mom, it'll be okay. And it was this moment of surrender of something that was an obsession. You know, to me, a dream. And it's a natural, right, to want to have, for many of you women out there, wanting to someday be a mom. And so it was a natural desire that I think God gives women, but you know, to give that up and say, even though I will still love you and serve you with all my heart. And it was just a tremendous moment of surrender. Well, 2 weeks later passed, you know, I just kind of went through just feeling more peace about everything somehow, some way. It must have been the Lord. And what happened was, then I got a call from our Pastor Sam, actually Pastor Corey Ishido, who was our senior pastor at the time in California. And there was a situation where another young woman wanted to give their baby up for adoption and was looking for Christian parents. And so we went for that opportunity, and that ended up being our son, Aaron. And so that situation was just an amazing provision, you know, from the Lord. And it was almost as if the Lord said to me, now that you've surrendered, now you're ready to be a mom, you know, in the plan of that I have for you. And I'm not saying that when you surrender, you automatically get what you really wanted. because it may or may not happen, right? I mean, I was willing to say, Lord, and I chose to say, Lord, I made a choice that even if I will still love you and serve you. And I think that's a place where God can then really use our lives, and really it's a key to finding your purpose. And so it's really surrendering our lives to Him, and with that, it's surrendering our dreams, it's surrendering our perspectives, it's surrendering our own agenda, it's surrendering our attitudes, it's surrendering what we think is right and is our right. It's surrendering all of that to the Lord and saying, Lord, I trust you with it all. And God cares about your dreams. He cares about your desires. But I believe that part of the journey of discovering your purpose requires that we surrender it to the Lord. And so maybe there's something in your heart today that you need to surrender to Him. Maybe it's an attitude, or maybe it's a person, or maybe it's your children. Surrendering, Lord, these are your children. Help me to see them through your eyes. I don't own them, I don't control them, or just surrendering and praying, Lord, bless them. But just that place of surrendering people, things, dreams to the Lord, and letting Him unfold His beautiful, amazing plan that He has for each of you, and for me as well. And I found that throughout this explicit movement journey that I've been on, surrender is not just a one-time thing. It's like a theme in my life where God is continually asking me, Lord, Michele, will you surrender it? Will you say, Lord, I give it all to you? And surrendering for me, sometimes it's a daily process, it's a daily activity, daily process. And so every day, I surrender Explicit into the Lord's hands. This is His baby. This is His creation, and I'm so blessed to have the honor to partner with God, in this cause, and along with all of you together, as family. But every day I surrender, Lord, this is your baby. Show us, Lord, what you have for it, Lord. Show me your direction, and it's just really surrendering it all to Him. So I just want to bless you today, bless you all of you, that may you continue to search your heart every day, every morning. Lord, is there anything that I need to surrender to you? And I pray for courage for each one of you to give it to the Lord, just knowing and trusting Him that He has the best plans for you, and He wants to unfold His amazing purposes and destiny for you. So Lord, I just thank you so much for everyone here that's listening, and I just speak a blessing and a grace to cover each one of them, a grace to surrender those things that are even the nearest and dearest things to their heart, to trust you, to trust your loving, kind, tender, loving hands, Lord, with those things that are so important to us, and knowing, Lord, that you have great plans and we can trust you. So Lord, I just pray for just a supernatural increase, Lord, of the ability to trust in you and to surrender it all. And I just want to close with this one verse that I ended the chapter of reflection time with, in Romans 12:1. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. So let's all worship the Lord today, everyone, by surrendering it to Him, surrendering our lives anew and afresh every day, knowing that we're in good hands. He loves you, and He's such a good, good Father. God bless you, everyone, and see you next week for chapter 3.